Hello, dear friends. Today we're going to start a video series for little children. And we will be sharing with you the stories of the saints from the Orthodox Church. It is very beautiful that today we start with Saint Irenaeus. This one video is dedicated to little Irenea, who is the granddaughter of my friend, and to all who are named after Saint Irenaeus. Saint Irenaeus is an apostolic father because he followed one of the disciples of Christ, Saint John the Evangelist. And Saint Irenaeus is known to be the person who drew parallels between the prophecy of Old Testament, where those four animals were depicted in front of the throne of God, and also the same thing depicted in the vision of Saint John, where we have four animals that Saint Irenaeus paralleled with four Gospels. The first animal is the eagle. The eagle is the symbol of the Gospel of Saint John, because Saint John in his Gospel declares God becoming human, God who is in heaven coming down to the earth. So he gives us the perspective of the eagle's eye view. And then we have Saint Mark, who starts his Gospel with the story of the kingdom of God. Therefore, his Gospel is parallel to the image of a lion, because lion is the king of all the animals, and so he's the symbol of the kingdom. The third one is Saint Luke. Saint Luke starts his Gospel with the story of Zachariah, the father of John the Baptist, offering incense in the temple. Therefore, this Gospel is represented and paralleled with the sacrificial bull, because in the Old Testament, the Israelites would offer animals to God as a sacrifice. We don't do that anymore, but we start with Zechariah being in the temple. The fourth one is representing St. Matthew. That is an angel or a human being, because St. Matthew starts his Gospel with a genealogy of Jesus Christ, which means that he's telling us that the important thing to focus on is that he is human and he was born on this earth like a little baby. And that is very important, because then little children can relate to him, because he wasn't born adult, he was newborn baby in the manger. So that's where we have the four Gospels and the four animals. So when you go to church, one thing you can do, when you get to the center of the church, look up where the Pantocrator is, the all-sovereign God looking down at us. And on the four corners of the Pantocrator, if you have pillars in your church, above the four pillars, you will see the icon of four evangelists. And above them, next to them, or beneath them, you will see the four cool animals. You will see the human being, you can see an eagle, you can see a lion, and a sacrificial bull that represents these evangelists. And it's not accidental, it's because that's how they start their Gospel. St. Irenaeus is a great saint because he was the disciple of St. John. So he remembered everything that St. John had spoken. And what's important about St. John, in his Gospel, he says that he wrote things that he eyewitnessed. So the Gospel is not a myth. It's not that somebody came out with a story. It's the story of Jesus Christ that St. John was there to see and to experience, to stand by his cross and see him on a cross. And then he told this story to St. Irenaeus, and St. Irenaeus was the one who tell us that this was true. So may his blessing and his intercession be with us, and may we get closer to Christ and to his Gospels. Thank you.